we are. Our interview. Yes, here we are. To ask you about your views on knowledge. So first, what do you think are the sources of knowledge that you think are valid or acceptable? And why do you think are these sources acceptable?
Well, first off, I think print sources are considered viable and acceptable because they have been peer-reviewed and they're generally harder to produce and distribute without being checked first. I think that oral knowledge, as in knowledge transmitted orally or verbally by what we consider trustworthy sources, for example, your friends or people you know who generally tell the truth, those can be considered valuable because of a history of being considered correct. And I guess first-hand experience is also one of the more viable forms of knowledge, but because human experience is subjective, it's not exactly perfectly verifiable.
What do you think are the types of claims guaranteed by your sources?
What do you mean by claims? Hindi naman get it.
Claims
Parang source, parang...
First hand, second hand, ganyan lang.
O parang based pa sa experience mo.
Okay.
Kung anong type siya based ba? Experience.
Okay,
Sa libro.
I would say there would
Your record na ba?
I would say there's knowledge based on experience where you can get knowledge directly based on what you've seen, what you felt, the five senses. Then there's knowledge that is implied. Basically, you analyze data that you have and you come to a conclusion, and then you have knowledge from there. Then there's stuff like conjecture, extrapolation, interpolation, information and knowledge which are gained not necessarily through direct means, but by all of which basically by analyzing existing data.
Do you consider facts as knowledge?
Yes, gain, knowledge gain.
Claim.
A claim. Yes, facts are a knowledge claim because since by their very nature of being defined as facts, they have already been verified and can be considered to be true by multiple sources no less.
Thank you. Last question.
What do you think is the degree of the acceptability of your knowledge sources? So, are some sources more reliable than others? What accounts for the validity of your knowledge and knowledge?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
That's a lot of questions.
Sige.
One by one.
So, examine the degree of acceptability of your knowledge sources.
My knowledge sources, the ones I use in general.
Yeah, according to your
Well, my knowledge sources are mostly garnered from the internet, and it's generally easier to publish stuff online than it is in print. So they are not the most verifiable sources out there. But because I use multiple sources before I make a knowledge claim of my own, I think that by combining several sources, the level of my knowledge claims would be considered high.
So are some of your sources of knowledge more reliable than others?
Yes, of course. I would consider the print sources I've read to be more reliable than the online sources I read in general.
How about the people?
People.
accounts from other people.
When it comes to knowledge I gain from other people, if they are laypersons in the field in which they make knowledge claims, I generally verify their claims online or through encyclopedias before I accept them. But when it comes to information such as events and other things, I say many of my friends being trustworthy, they are valid.
the validity of your knowledge and actually based ka on. Personally, based ka on reasoning, experience, there's objective consensus, feeling.
Consensus, yes. I would consider a lot of my knowledge is based on consensus because many reputable sources agree on a lot of the knowledge I have. Then experience, because I have a fair amount of experience in the stuff I profess knowledge in, such as fixing computers. And I generally keep trustworthy friends, so knowledge gained orally I would consider to be valid.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. But wait, there's more.
But wait.
Yeah.
Responsible. So, sa point na to, explain naman namin sa inyo.
Side ng Philo.
Based on what we learned in school about sa knowledge.
So, yung una, sources of knowledge.
Sources of knowledge, yung nga yung na-mention mo kanina, yung yung ano yun? Priori.
A priori, absolutely.
Prior, posterior. Yung priori, yun yung based dun sa experience.
Prior experience.
Ikaw na talaga.
Kasi isa yung posterior based on
Intellectual.
Analytical.
analytical. So,
Isa pa yung cognitive.
Yeah.
tapos nun, di ba, tinanong namin what are the types of claims. So, meron siyang three types. Synthetic, analytic, and evaluative.
So, yun lang yung formal terms sa mga sinabi mo kanina. Yung synthetic, yun yung...
Parang facts. But
No.
Ay, hindi joke na.
Yung analytic, yun yung sinabi mo facts. Yun yung,
Yung
already
synthetic
known.
yan, figurative description.
Parang yun yung experience.
Yeah.
Tapos yung...
Analytic.
Tapos na, yung ano pa isa? Yung evaluative, yun yung parang opinion. Yun yung parang tingin mo galing sa friends mo.
Ina-assess mo pa yung character. Dinescribe mo, tapos ina-assess mo pa.
Yun lang.
So, na-gets mo ba?
Okay,
So, kunyari, yung analytic,
Sama ang synthetic.
pi is equal to 3.1415. Yung synthetic, the bag is
not governed by time.
Meron pa factor na magawa siya sa ganyan.
the bag is leather, ganyan, or something. Tapos yung evaluative, parang kailangan mong gamitin. Hindi ba sa synthetic? Yung synthetic, kailangan mong gamitin yung 5 senses. Tapos yung evaluative, medyo subjective.
Yeah, I hate it. Even that's pretty nice.
Ganun.
Okay.
Thanks.
I like it more.
Tapos, okay. So, are there views that you want to change or maintain in your preliminary knowledge? Based dun sa
Not necessarily. I mean,
Super same naman.
I think I more or less covered what you said. Since the three types of knowledge claims that you mentioned are pretty easy to see in everyday life, it's just hard to categorize them.
So since alam mo na yung sinabi namin, hindi na namin pwedeng tanongin na may newly introduced concepts.
Kasi familiar ka na yun sa... Pero paano ka naging familiar dito sa dun sa Philo?
No, writing or anything, but I figured it out myself.
Okay. So based on your
Based on my experience and knowledge. Hindi kasi, I mean, like my dad would tell me one thing, and that's like word of mouth. Then I would verify it, and I find that there are different kinds of knowledge for that.
may addition.
I guess, since may share pre-knowledge of what knowledge is, and I think sa first answers niya pala, alam na natin na knowledgeable siya dun sa yung kung ano na-cover natin sa video. So I guess, that's it.
Thank you. Here's our token of appreciation.
Is that one?
Thank